Noah, in his infinite wisdom, literally gets a study that makes thinks before he sleeps exact argument.
Personally, I would be embarrassed if I suggested to my audience that I'm a good researcher, and I got caught only reading the abstract of multiple studies with a field that I have very little background knowledge in. I would also feel guilty for doing lazy research that could very well lead my audience into believing wrong ideas because I wanted to get a video out in 2 days. No wonder this guy has bad takes like this drawing here is just as good as this drawing. This modern art drawing is the visual representation of Noah's skill at research. And by that, I mean that anyone with no talent or skill development can read the summary of an article on PubMed and say they did research.
Two, that he doesn't actually care about fat people. He just doesn't want to see them in media. He doesn't want to see them at all. So he gets mad at the Dove ad instead of, looking away, doing something else, which is, it's funny, it's very funny.
Okay, so not only do we have this, we're going to mind read Think Before You Sleep and say it's not that he cares about fat people, he just actually despises them for some unknown reason, and he doesn't want to look at them, and that is what's motivating the behavior.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. That's not good. But
So,
he doesn't really address any of the argument.
Right. So Noah's made these claims based on, quote, scientific papers. Okay.
Right.
Now, let's go to Think Before You Sleep's response video to see if he responds to these supposedly scientific claims that Noah made. Okay. Let's see what the scientific response there is. For these,
hey everybody, what's up?
So for these studies that he brought up here. Let's see. Okay.
The relationship between body image and...
Go back a second, just so you can hear his argument again.
Not to Think Before You Sleep videos require any evidence, he's just talking. But the research actually shows that the opposite is true. Quoting from a meta-analysis here on the relationship between body image and body weight control, misperception and dissatisfaction with body weight are risk factors for participating in an unhealthy lifestyle and make it harder to follow a healthier lifestyle. Body image disturbance also made it more likely to underreport calorie intake.
Okay, let's take a look. You're saying roughly that fat acceptance campaigns don't cause obesity. I read the whole study, and as far as I can see, it makes no claim that would allow you to call it evidence for your points. All this sentence that he highlighted here is saying is that obese people have unhealthy habits and are unhappy about the way they look. I know you can quickly look at these words and interpret them as low self-esteem from body shaming or whatever leads to an unhealthy lifestyle, but that's not what the study says, and he would know that if he actually read it. In fact, if you read more than the abstract, it gives the sentiment of what I was saying. Allow me to quote it. In general, body weight satisfaction was associated with less intention to change weight or lifestyles. On the contrary, body weight dissatisfaction was associated with higher BMI and greater intention to change lifestyle or weight and dietary restraint in women. Another important motivation for weight management were concerns for either future or present health.
Okay. So again, Noah and his infinite wisdom. Okay. So first he says, you are lazy for not getting the right study, and he gets the wrong study. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now for take two, he says, listen, I have a study that shows you my argument that people's perceptions about them being fat doesn't actually motivate them to lose weight. And he didn't read the study, because if he did, it says the exact opposite. It literally says, okay, it literally says in the study or the meta-analysis that he quoted that if you are satisfied with your weight, you have less intention to change your weight.
Right.
He's literally brought up a study.
Habits.
Or your habits. He literally, Noah, in his infinite wisdom, literally gets a study that makes Thinks Before You Sleep's exact argument.
Right.
Thank you, Noah.
Not
wonderful.
Good.
Wonderful, Noah.
Not good. Very gaslighty.
Yes. I don't even think it's that. He literally didn't read it probably. He just read the abstract and he thought he understood it when he didn't.
Yeah, no, this is the problem with this. I'm going to make an argument and find a study that proves my argument. Like most smart people, they just find studies that are interesting and they make videos about those studies.
Right.
They try to understand those studies and put into a video form whatever that study is saying.
Now we're going to go through, because he's going to go through, the studies and do all this stuff. And then we're going to watch Noah's response to all this. But I want you guys to ask yourselves this question, okay? Do you think that Noah will address that he brought a study forward that makes the opposite of his argument and actually makes think before he sleeps argument? Will he address this?
Of course not. Are you kidding
Okay.
me? Look, we've already seen this movie once.
Okay. Or do you think that Noah will say, you know what? I'm a person that believes in science and studies, supposedly. And here's a study that shows that my opinion was wrong. So maybe I should change my opinion because I have new evidence.
Of course not.
Oh, okay. You don't think he's going to do that?
No.
Okay.
Look, he's making bank gaslighting his audience. That's his MO. We got a regular Shokin here.
Wow, Noah, look what happens when you read more than the abstract. People who are dissatisfied with their situation are the ones who want to change their weight, not the ones who think they are fine the way they are. The only nuance I would add is that this study suggests that a few of the dissatisfied people need proper weight loss counseling. But this is the Ludwig video all over again.
Yeah, then he talks about this other situation.
So, I mean, why doesn't Dove do all these ladies a favor and make them feel bad about their weight and shame them into making some healthy change?
It couldn't possibly be because they're owned by a parent company that makes a lot of unhealthy garbage junk food.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
so they're making money at the expense of these ladies'
That's
health?
a conspiracy.
Oh, okay.
I mean, in the video, she doesn't go and crack open a tub of Ben and Jerry's. So that's not what the commercial's about. Obviously.
I wonder how Noah feels about corporations making money at the expense of people's health.
Listen, if someone on the right complains about it, it's probably not happening. But if someone on the left complains about it, it's the biggest deal ever. All right.
It sounds like Noah doesn't care about these people.
No, I know.
Doesn't care about them at all. What a heartless person. What a cold-hearted meanie.
To enhance my point, here is reference 29 that the study Noah quoted used to come to their conclusion about weight satisfaction. Here it says 93% of men and 95% of women who reported being dissatisfied with their weight also reported an intention to change their diet or physical condition. So this study said that almost everybody who wasn't satisfied with their weight wanted to change.
So Think Before You Sleep has essentially nuclear satellite nuked Noah from orbit by saying the study you brought up makes my argument. You are very smart. Okay.
Look, it has to make his argument. His argument is solid.
Yes.
This is why you just don't get in exchanges like this.
Right.
When you don't have a winning argument. Why do people do this, Sitch? It's so weird. It's like, I'll debate you on that, even though I'm totally wrong. Don't take that debate. Don't do it.
Right.
Based on the data that you quoted, Noah, if you're trying to get people to lose weight, why would you encourage them to be satisfied with obesity? Why would you promote fat acceptance, which creates magazines like this saying that being obese is healthy? It's not healthy. Now, I'm not going to go on a full diet.
You flip that magazine over and it's got a Ben and Jerry's ad right on the back of it. I guarantee.
No, it's got those, those diabetes test sticks.
They're like, oh, the medical industry loves this stuff. Yes. We're getting rich.
No, they're selling you the ones, there's like the diabetes test where you like stick the thing in your arm and you just wave the little thing over it.
Oh.
There you go.
Diatribe about why obesity is unhealthy. Most people already know why it's unhealthy, and I've already made a ton of videos about it, but you can just look at the CDC stats. Also, the first sentence, guys, the very first sentence, I mean, literally he read none of this study, because the first sentence of that study that Noah linked says that obesity is unhealthy and included a reference number 1, that said health at every size education didn't really do anything to improve physical health, except for maybe a little reduction in LDL cholesterol, to which, these days, is very debatable if that metric even matters. You can listen to this doctor here for more information on that.
On Joe Rogan? Are you kidding me? That
God.
Right-wing grifter? I can't believe you're citing this guy. You know, that's what Noah's thinking.
Right.
How dare you cite Joe Rogan? He ate horse paste when he had COVID.
True. I think he ate an actual horse. He gave the horse the horse paste, and then he ate the horse.
He probably killed it himself with his own bow and arrow.
True.
On top of this, the second sentence of the study quotes this meta-analysis here from 2017 that goes over multiple studies showing that pretty significant numbers of overweight and obese people underestimate how big they are and often say they are about the right weight, which is a problem based on Resource 29 from the original study that says that people who were dissatisfied with their body image were far more likely to want to get healthy, not the ones who were fine the way they were. The study on underestimation of weight status theorizes that normalization of being overweight and obese is a significant contributing factor to why these people underestimate their situation. And gee, I wonder what movement out there is causing obese people to be delusional about their weight status.
Listen, we're at the point in the video where Think Before You Sleep has pantsed Noah and pushed his face in the toilet and is giving him a swirly. And we're like, stop it. He's already dead. Stop it.
Look, this is a fascinating argument.
Yes.
That the fast food snack industry is really behind this body positivity movement. I mean, it is the smoking, the tobacco lobby did this kind of stuff for smoking, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's get a bunch of doctors smoking cigarettes. That'll help.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know if they created all of it, but I wouldn't be surprised that if behind most of the fat acceptance movements, you'll see that's got some level of corporate sponsorship for some of these companies.
Hey, there's all these crazy lesbians in college that are talking about fat acceptance. We should give them some money.
So we can add this to the list of when someone says, "But Sitch, what do you mean that the left doesn't believe in science?"
Oh, of course. Yes.
And throw fat acceptance onto the pile there.
Yeah, it's so weird. It's so weird. It's such a good look. I mean, as an entrepreneur myself, I mean, I'm kind of in awe here. I really am.
But
what a great idea. What a
only
great
people
idea.
on the right don't like science. People on the left love science, Sitch. That's why when Noah hears all this scientific arguments using studies, he's going to immediately say in his response, "I apologize, Think Before You Sleep. You were correct. Now that you've provided me factual scientific information, I have changed my opinion."
My opinion.
Yes.
Right here on the spot.
Right.
Thank you of disabusing me of this fake knowledge I had in my head.
Exactly. I'm sure that's what the response to this will be.
Look, Sitch, I'm conflicted here because look, I didn't like all this fat acceptance stuff when I thought it was woke politics.
Right.
But now that I see it's the free market working, I'm kind of in favor of it.
Capitalism, baby. Oh, yeah.
Look,
love it now.
The fatties know what they're getting into.
Yeah.
And we got to sell some ice cream.
There you go.
Who doesn't like ice cream?
Well, there's an interesting conversation about this whole thing with for food consumption, where does personal responsibility begin?
Oh my, this is hilarious.
Where does responsibility of the manufacturers of food being so healthy, where does that begin? Like, how do we balance these two things?
Okay.
Now, I don't buy, and I'll tell you why. I don't buy the whole everyone should just have personal responsibility, so food manufacturers should be able to make whatever unhealthy garbage they want.
Right.
And the reason I'm skeptical of that argument is because, as we now know, food has addictive qualities to it.
Yeah.
And not just food, but like, and when I say addictive, it's not like, like, oh, crack cocaine or something, but food has addictive qualities to it, and they know this. And this is a part of why I think everyone's getting fatter, isn't just because they're putting corn syrup and everything, which obviously is a big part of it. They're putting so much added sugars and so much stuff that don't need it, because it's easy to make cheap things taste good by just pumping it full of sugar, which is a big part of it. But there's so much food science now that these companies that make food literally know how to make it so that when you're eating their food, the food is temporarily addictive. This is why, if you've ever paid attention, you can be eating something that's very salty or very sweet. So you can be eating French fries or potato chips.
Oh my God, they're so
potato
good.
Chips are the worst, right? Or ice cream or something. But potato chips are probably the worst, where you can be eating it. And when you're eating the potato chip, it's like you just feel compelled to keep eating the next one.
Oh,
right?
yeah. Yeah, you got to eat the whole bag.
Right, but then, but I don't know if you've noticed this. If you are interrupted or stop, and you have to like put it down. Someone calls you to the
Mhm.
next room, so you have to put the potato chips down. You walk and do something. Okay, when you stop eating them for like a minute or 2 minutes go by, you'll notice that you feel full and you no longer want to eat the potato chips.
Right.
But
Oh
you
yeah,
didn't
yeah,
notice,
because it
but
turns off the satiation button.
exactly, but you didn't notice it while you were eating it.
Wow.
And that's done intentionally. There's some biochemical
It's
reason.
like a Harry Potter spell they're spinning on you.
Yes, that while you're eating it, you don't feel satiation. It's literally stopping you from feeling the satiation.
Oh,
But then when you're interrupted and stop, suddenly you're like, oh, I'm not hungry. I have no more desire to eat these potato chips. And to me, that's where I say you can't just say it's personal responsibility, because they are literally screwing with our brain chemistry and our biochemistry when they make these foods.
I love soda pop. I can't buy it. I can't keep it in the house because I will just drink soda all day long.
It's the same thing. Yeah, it's the same thing with soda.
Delicious.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good. Sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night and I dream about soda. I'm like, oh my God, it'd be so good to have a soda right now.
Right.
But I don't, yeah, I leave it out of the house because, I mean, that's the key right there.
Yes.
If you are dealing with a weight issue or anything like that, the key is just make it difficult to actually get your hands on that kind of stuff.
Right.
As soon as it's in the house, it's like,
right. Yeah,
Yep,
and see, but that's the
you
problem.
got to resist
because,
at the store.
because the problem is like, even when I used to drink soda, I've never been addicted to it the way that you were addicted to it, right? So I'm not saying it should be illegal, but I do think that there are certain practices in how they manufacture food that should be illegal or talked about in terms of the biochemical addiction that they intentionally put into these foods.
Yeah, a lot of people were complaining about the giant size cups that they wanted to make illegal.
Right.
Sometimes I just look, sometimes you can't get like a reasonable portion of soda, which is kind of a problem, because if you bought the thing, you're like, well, I'm going to drink it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's another big problem too, is that, if you look at, especially with fast food, if you look at fast food portions keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger.
Of course. Yeah.
Like maybe not like the sandwiches have gone bigger, but like, the drinks get bigger, the fries get bigger because that's cheap. And if they need to increase the price, they want to make it look all bigger so you feel like you're not getting ripped off.
No,
the drink costs, like a penny for them to make.
This is the problem right here. Right. Like you want to buy a reasonable portion. So you go, I want the small. And they're like, that's $1.59. Oh, well, how much is a large? The large is $1.69.
Yeah, exactly.
You're like, so instead of so you buy 3 times as much soda because it's a dime more.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Like, and also you feel like you're getting ripped off when you get the small. You're like, $1.59. This is like look, it's a Dixie cup here. What am I doing?
Exactly.
But really, everyone would go with the small if it was like 50 cents.
Yes.
You'd be selling smalls out the door. Like everyone will buy a small.
If it costs what it actually should cost. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, yes. Everyone would buy a small. Everyone would drink a small, and we all be 10 pounds lighter. Yeah. Right. It's so ridiculous. We're all being manipulated here.
Yep.
And the fact that Noah, like the socialist, anti-capitalist, can't even say any of this just because he's arguing with some right winger on YouTube is comical. Yeah. This is the comedy part of the show right here.
Honestly, Noah has fumbled so many times in his research that I'm starting to think that maybe I should hire Noah to Google my research for me. He's very good at scoring in his own goal. Now, going back to the meta-analysis on health at every size, by the way, meta-analysis is a research term for we reviewed a bunch of studies on a particular topic, but the interesting thing about it is that they primarily focus on studies with a control group. A control group is the placebo group, which means they didn't get the health at every size intervention. The experimental group is the one that gets the new intervention that's being researched. This methodology is used so they can test if the thing being researched is actually more effective than simply doing nothing or simply doing what people would typically do. In these cases, the placebo group got standard dietary advice, and guess what? The results for the health at every size education and the standard dietary advice were pretty much the same. Now, fat acceptance groups always like to mention that health at every size education is good for people's self-esteem or other psychological metrics that don't prevent diabetes. However, standard dietary advice was also good at improving people's self-esteem. This situation is really funny because the whole study that Noah quoted completely contradicts his narrative right from the beginning. He obviously didn't read any of it. This is why you don't just read the abstracts, Noah. The abstracts are just a summary of the findings of the study as a way of filtering which studies are relevant to your research and which ones aren't. In order to determine if the study is actually valid, you need to figure out how they came to that answer by reading their methodology. Just like math class, researchers need to show their work or their answers and data don't count. That's why I poked fun at Dove for not citing their resources.
Okay, so let me jump ahead a little bit here.
This guy is so obviously like a PhD student.
Well, I mean, I don't know what his background is, but Noah's not in the right weight class for any of this.
I know, it's hilarious. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
Look, some people I know are obviously smarter than me. I feel like, look, I could learn from this person.
Right.
Noah, on the other hand, is like, I'm going to go out and pick a fight with this person.
Listen, we're sitting here at the adult table trying to have a conversation, and Noah's over there at the kids' table playing with his mashed potatoes. Okay.
Yes, totally.
Standing at a table saying he wants his drinky and his apple juice sippies. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Give me the sippy cup, mommy.
His commentary comes right from the abstract. I'm actually a little disappointed. That being said, let's finish off with one more study that Noah didn't read.
On top of this, in the same way that negative body image is bad for your health, positive body image is actually good for it. There's a study here, positive body image is positively associated with emotional and psychological and social well-being in British adults. Body appreciation significantly predicted all dimensions of well-being. Think Before You Sleep hates it when people are fat. He wants them to stop being fat. So he should actually love this Dove ad campaign. The campaign is promoting positive self-image, and positive self-image promotes health in a myriad of ways, which does include people maintaining healthier habits when it comes to eating. That's what he wants, right?
All right, so right away, this study he shows here has nothing to do with positive body image leading to weight reduction or better physical health. Diabetes, joint issues, and heart disease don't care about how good you feel about yourself. So I did what I absolutely guarantee you that Noah didn't do, which was pay $50 for the study. By the way, these studies aren't all free, and not only did I have to spend hours fact-checking Noah, but I also had to pay money to do it. Here are some of the questions that they used to determine well-being in the study.
That's such an epic dunk, man. Noah's already pantsed. It's just so crazy.
And nowhere in this study does it claim that higher body image scores led to healthier eating like Noah claimed. Now, Noah might be basing that claim on the earlier study that said that higher body satisfaction was associated with healthier eating habits, but that's only because the people who had healthier eating habits were already thin. I mean, holy crap, for how much this guy said, "Source, bro," or "you provided no evidence," in his reactions to my videos, he has no idea how to read research. I don't know if you went to school, but just like Hassan, if you paid for college, Noah, you should sue them for your money back because they failed you. Stop quoting PubMed articles because anyone who knows how to read research can see that you have no idea what you're doing. You're better off just giving your opinion on things. And despite that you're into lifting, which is good, exercise is a good thing, I will compliment him for that, but despite that, you clearly don't have expertise or training in health sciences, so you really should be keeping your mouth shut on the topic. You're outside of your scope of knowledge here, which means that even if you did know how to read research properly, you would not be qualified to accurately interpret studies on health. Reading research requires background knowledge on the subject, or you will be incapable of criticizing it competently, or you'll improperly utilize the information. Personally, I would be embarrassed if I suggested to my audience that I'm a good researcher, and I got caught only reading the abstract of multiple studies with a field that I have very little background knowledge in. I would also feel guilty for doing lazy research that could very well lead my audience into believing wrong ideas because I wanted to get a video out in 2 days. No wonder this guy has bad takes like this drawing here is just as good as this drawing. This modern art drawing is the visual representation of Noah's skill at research. And by that, I mean that anyone with no talent or skill development can read the summary of an article on PubMed and say they did research. All right, let's move away.
Okay.
He just destroyed him, man.
He did. But let me help destroy Noah even further because there's something he didn't bring up too. Let me go back to the article. Let's see, where is it?
And looking at the information here on screen, it's a little disappointed. That being said, let's finish off with one more study that Noah didn't read.
On top of this,
I want the freeze frame. Okay. So I also read this study, Adam.
Nice.
Now I didn't pay for it because I'm a bad person, but I did read this study. Okay.
Oh, nice. You
Okay.
found it online. Sitch is good.
I have my ways of finding things.
Nice.
Okay. All right. So the study is about positive body image is positively associated with emotional, psychological, social well-beings. And if you look at the study, they say that generally the more positive a person had about their body image, not only did they feel better about themselves emotionally and psychologically, but they also seem to have better life outcomes as well. Or
Right.
at least they reported that they had better outcomes, which shouldn't really
What
be
is that a life outcome? Just
you know,
healthier.
in terms of their health, in
Okay.
terms of their job, things of
Lifespan.
that nature, you know, lifespan, yeah,
Okay.
things of that nature, right? Which shouldn't really be that surprising. Now,
Of course.
Noah takes this information. He says, well, there you go. So the way to make people have better life outcomes is to basically trick them into thinking that they should have positive body image, even if they don't or shouldn't, right?
Right.
Okay. So let me ask you a question. Okay. What in the study, what do you think would be a significant factor that they would talk about in the study that would lead someone to have a better positive body image?
If the person regularly exercises or is a reasonable body weight or has good eating habits,
Okay.
gets regular sleep,
Right.
lives a healthy lifestyle.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So you would guess, without reading the study, that people that took care of themselves probably on average have better positive body images of themselves than people who don't.
Right.
Fascinating.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, since I read the study, or at least I skimmed it, and Noah didn't even do that much, if he did, he would have found out that the study says one of the most significant factors in predicting whether a person would have a positive self-image and a positive life outcome was entirely correlated to their BMI. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So they're saying the fatter the person was, the more negative body image they had of themselves, and the skinnier and more healthy the person was, the more positive their body image was of themselves.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. So again, this study completely annihilates Noah's own point because it was saying that the most significant factor they found for someone to have positive body self-image was not being fat.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, you would think that. There's a causation difficulty here though.
Sure, there is. I agree.
Yeah.
Because you'd say, people that feel better about themselves are going to be more motivated and thus probably be more motivated to keep themselves healthy, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Sure.
Yeah. Does the motivation come first? Does the satisfaction come first?
Right.
Yeah.
But if you I would argue that for a lot of people, the motivation comes first. And so it's more difficult for people that don't have the intrinsic motivation. But as we know from the other study that Think Before You Sleep annihilated Noah on, it shows that if people have a perception that they're satisfied with their body weight, then it kills their motivation to change their body.
Right. So you basically get a virtuous cycle or a vicious cycle.
Yes.
Like if you're happy with your body weight and you're overweight, you get a vicious cycle because you continue to eat, you get fatter and fatter.
Right.
But if you are happy with your body and you continue to exercise, it's a virtuous cycle.
Right. Okay. So that was Think Before You Sleep, annihilated Noah's studies, like in the most annihilating way possible. All the studies that Noah brought up show the exact opposite to what Noah's point is and make Think Before You Sleep's point. Okay. So let's look at Noah's second video. How do you think he responds to these claims? Do you think that he says, as a man of science, maybe I should change my opinion?
Well, that's how he should respond. So obviously,
Right.
Noah
So
responds
obviously.
the opposite.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, let's find out. Let's find out how he responds to being wrong about the science.
God, his channel is just all partisan stuff.
Yes.
How's he?
What were you going to say?
Well, I don't have the video up. I'm just looking at his thumbnails. I
Oh,
saw
yeah,
this
yeah.
one girl that makes, I mean, she makes great videos. He responded to her. She's like super smart.
Well, listen, we've learned from this encounter that Noah is not very smart.
Mhm.
And like most men, is batting way outside of his weight class. Okay.
Yeah. Is this anti-woke? Where are we at?
We're at anti-woke
Did you just
nonsense
hit back?
ideology. No.
Okay.
We're at 24:42.
Hit play. See what happens here. I don't see
A big
anything on
reason
my
why
end.
obese people aren't in the
Point about sexualization that I want to talk about.
What's
Okay.
going on?
Looks good on my end.
Okay. Let me you're at the wrong time code though, so let me fix it.
Point here about fat representation. So I must admit that in my prior video, I made a mistake. Well, two mistakes. The first mistake was
Oh, so
Hold on a
wait.
second.
He actually acknowledged that he made a mistake. Oh my
He
gosh.
did.
He
Look,
he made
progress.
maybe we were too hard on Noah. He admits that he made a mistake. I'm sure he will admit that he actually posted studies that prove him wrong and that was the mistake he made, right?
Well, since you're saying it that way, you're making me think, no, that's not what he does. But
Oh shoot.
maybe.
Oh darn it. I'm
least he
so
admitted he
bad
made
at
a
not
mistake.
spoiling things for people.
What's he going to say? What was the mistake that he recorded without audio in the first take?
We'll see.
the way that I made one of my arguments. I argued that fat representation in media can help promote healthy habits. I did this using a series of studies. First, one that showed how positive self-image is correlated with good mental health, then one that showed how good mental health is associated with healthy habits. In hindsight, this line of argumentation is not great. It's a stretch because it relies on a lot of correlations. A good chunk of Think Before You Sleep's video covers this flaw in argumentation. And even though, as Think Before You Sleep pointed out, health at every size education can help fat people improve on their health, he points this out and then dismisses the study, much in the vein of what we saw before.
And I certainly have never seen a real-life example of this stock footage of a thin person eating junk food and an obese person not being able to lose weight despite eating oranges. I have never seen that play out in real life, and real obese people are always significantly overeating and eating junk food.
Okay, so we have Noah, who is essentially a huge liar now, right? Even when he admits that he was wrong, he doesn't actually admit correctly what he was wrong about. He doesn't want to admit that the studies he brought up actually scientifically make Think Before He Sleep's point. So instead he says, well, I guess I was mistaken because I should never brought up these studies because my argument was actually not a good one. Like, this is
not a good one because he proved me wrong.
This is, and then he doesn't bring it up. He brings up this totally unrelated clip from a different part of the video. Like, this is so wildly dishonest for Noah to say. It's not that you got proven wrong. It's, oh no, actually, I shouldn't have brought those studies up because it's just a bad argument. It was relied too much on correlation. You know, don't ignore the argument I just brought forward that proved me wrong. I'm so sorry.
Right.
Despite this, health at every size education is not the same as media representation like we saw in the Dove ad campaign. So I'm hereby raising a white flag on that argument. I think it's a bad argument. Now, with all of that said, the real mistake I made here.
The real mistake he made is that he brought up studies that prove him wrong. That's what he's about to say. That's what he's about to say. He's going to say, I brought up studies that prove me wrong.
Here, I think, was playing devil's advocate with this point in the first place. The reason being, the argument that fat people being represented in media makes people fat is ridiculous on its face.
Oh, he's not going to bring it up at all. He's going to change the subject completely. I hope my audience didn't watch Think Before You Sleep's video, because then they would know I'm a big fat liar.
They can't remember all this stuff.
That's why, listen, that's why he's in favor of this body positivity. Noah's planning to get so fat because he's going to be filled with so many lies. He's going to be so filled with lies, he's going to be so fat. Let me just change the subject to something completely different.
Sad.
Obesity has been in prevalence in America for like 80 years. Mainstream fat positive media is a very new thing. How on earth does it make any sense to point to such media as some serious cause of obesity when clearly there are vastly more significant factors at play? If you're sincerely...
Now, I must have missed the part. We didn't watch all of Think Before You Sleep's video. I've watched it all. I must have missed the part where Think Before You Sleep made the very bold claim that the only reason people are getting fat nowadays in current year
is because of this propaganda.
Right. I must have missed that. Now, he never said that, but maybe he thought it, right? Maybe he thought it deep in his mind, and Noah has the ability to like read people's thoughts. I mean, he doesn't understand, general basic media literacy when it comes to watching cartoons of fat people, but he can read other YouTubers' minds. So maybe Think Before You Sleep only thinks that the reason people are gaining weight nowadays has nothing to do with unhealthy diets, has nothing to do with the way that food and food consumption has changed. No. It's only because of fat acceptance.
Unlikely. I really wish Noah was smarter so he could counter on the argument that it's being done. Dove is being done, is doing this to actually sell more ice cream. If the fat acceptance movement is being propagated by snack companies, that's what I'm most interested in.
That would be interesting. Yeah. To find out what's going on there.
Yeah, Noah's not really. Look, I do think snacks are tasty, okay? And it's really easy to get people into them. But it's got to, like, sooner or later, you just feel like a big fat slob and you're like, I'm going to turn my life around. That's a nightmare for the snack companies. What? What? You've been a good consumer of our snacks for years now. Now you're cutting us off cold? Wow. We got shareholders.
You don't owe any loyalty to these people, Adam. Okay. People are selling drugs.
We got shareholders. Look, drugs are the perfect analogy of what's going on.
You don't have loyalty to your drug dealer, okay? Look,
sooner or later, you got to have a fat acceptance movement. Sooner or later, you got to have, look, the doctors can prescribe the drugs. Opiates, I know.
Right.
Look, get some studies in here. We got money to make.
These opioids are perfectly safe. People will not become addicted to them.
Yes.
Trust us.
No, I'm telling you. It's so weird that he's not even willing to entertain the argument that he's making.
I mean, it's not weird. It's just dishonest.
What a dipshit.
Yeah.
Look, and it's so weird that he's completely just simping for the corporations because he's like, yeah, all this fat acceptance stuff is great. Buy more ice cream, ladies.
Yep.
Hi, you just listened to a clip from the Sitch and Adams show. If you like what you heard, you can listen to our live show right here on this channel on Sunday, starting at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. And if you want, you can super chat us. We read $20 and up super chats on the show and then do a follow-up stream on the following Tuesday where we read the rest of the unread super chats and interact with fans of the show. Subscribe to this channel right here to listen to the live show or to listen to more of our awesome clips.